All right, now it's time for us to talk about something I'm super excited about, and that is cursor metadata capture. I bet you did not think I was going to say that, but it's true. Who gets excited about metadata? This guy right here. So what is it? What is it? Well, when you use Camtasia Recorder to record your screen, we actually record a few different input streams. We record the cursor, the position of the cursor throughout the recording, and things like clicks and double clicks. We also record things like your keyboard inputs. So when you're doing those shortcut keys in your application, we record those types of things. And that allows us to provide sort of magical experiences in post. We can decorate things with effects and do other sort of neat things. And this time around, we've really, really leaned into this, and we've got basically 3 new capabilities that I want to talk about. One is vector system cursor replacement. So that is we recognize 16 OS system cursors on Windows and 42 on Mac. And when Camtasia sees one of those system cursors, it will automatically in the editor replace it with its vector equivalent, which allows you to scale things up beautifully and really draw the eyes in. So the second thing I want to talk about is cursor path editing. What is it? What does it allow you to do? When should you do it? That's going to be fun. And then the third thing is it's not metadata related, but it looks really similar to cursor path editing. As we were developing this, we realized, hey, you should be able to add a cursor path to a screenshot. You should be able to add it to a group, and you should really be able to add it to any piece of media where there isn't a cursor already associated with it. So we added that capability. It's a cool visual effect, and it allows you to do some really cool things fast with just a simple screenshot or a simple group on your timeline. So really unlocks creative opportunities, unlocks the opportunity to do unique and fun things inside Camtasia. So let's go take a look.
The cursor is a super underappreciated character in the narrative of screen content. It helps draw the eyes to what they should focus on. It's your connection to the artist, the craftsperson, the person demoing the software. And it's really critical to leading you around the screen, to interacting with the software. And for too long, we've treated it as a second-class citizen. So, and it's really no wonder if you take a look at the cursor scaling in the old world, if you will, this is what a bitmap cursor scaled up looks like. And that is a hot mess. It's just garbage. It's no wonder no one ever tried to bump this thing up. Now, the beauty of the technology that we've developed here is that we're going to automatically detect the type of cursor based on either metadata from the operating system on Windows or image comparison on Mac. So if we recognize a cursor, we'll automatically swap in a vector replacement. And that leads to beautiful, clean lines that can scale up with high fidelity. It's very simple to actually take advantage of. Now, a couple things to point out here in this screen content. 1080p, here is my canvas. I'm at 100% on the content. So I'm on the media, I'm at 100% scale. And that cursor is at 100% scale. This is the default. This is the norm. Where are your eyes supposed to be? If you've ever sat behind a camera, whether you're a photographer or a videographer, you understand that your principal objective is to frame the shot and focus the viewer's attention on what's most important. They're only going to see what you intend them to see and what you reveal with your composition. And right now, this cursor is just lost. It's hard to watch, even with this nice tight framing that I've got here. So it's really simple to adjust this. I'm just going to come over again. I'm in the cursor tab in the properties panel, and by default, Camtasia will default to 225% cursor scale. Currently, we default to 100%, but with 2022, it'll be 225, which is a little bit better. It's just to pop out a little bit more. This is going to be a safe choice for a lot of people. Starts to draw the eyes in a little bit easier to see, but it's also not big and bold. Now, I personally think the cursor needs to be bigger than this most of the time, right? So you have a range over here in the slider. You can jump this guy up on the slider all the way up to 2000%. You can also jump into the text field and override it and go to something like 10,000, which is, I think, the ceiling that we've got. Now, that's a little bit ridiculous, but you can also animate this, right? So you can go ahead and drop an animation on here, and then we're going to go ahead and we're going to just scale this guy down to something reasonable, right? Let's get it back down there, right? So this is a nice way to come into the screen, draw the eyes to what you want. A little jumpy. Probably didn't want to animate quite to that position right there. Boom. All right. So you can do fun things with it. It's just begging to be animated. It's begging for us to eventually do some transitions with it and other fun things. But look at the clean lines on this. Look at how when you scale it up, perfect fidelity, right? Look at how that draws your eyes in. Now you tell me what you wanted to see. This hot mess back over here, blurred down, that teeny tiny cursor. Let's just get rid of this guy and bring it back to 100%. You tell me, what is more powerful? What draws you in as a viewer? Is it this right here? Or is it something that looks a little bit more like that, right? Is that starting to help you as a viewer absorb the content and follow along and be involved? I think the answer is pretty clear, and we've got a really compelling, unique solution. All right, so let's jump in and take advantage of some of that metadata that Camtasia has captured. Now, I want you to think of cursor path editing as a surgical procedure. It's something you want to do at a specific time and place. So in this particular instance, I've got this menu over here, and my mouse is moving over the top of all of these switches, these toggle switches, right? So I want to correct that, but I want to correct just that area. I also noticed something else as I dig in here. I'm a little off center on that button, and I'd like to do a nice click effect over the top of it later on. So I want to center up when I click, where I click. So let's go ahead and we'll do a surgical procedure here. I've got a couple of marks set up here. We're just going to jump back to the first one. I'm going to split, and I'm going to jump to a new mark here. And I'm going to split again. And now on just this piece of media here, this little clip that I've cut out, I am going to come in and choose Edit Cursor Path. And you have a few different options at this point. One of them is to take the original path and simplify it a bit to make it easier to edit, but still try to remain pretty true to the path of the cursor that was captured. So we'll go ahead and click continue on that. And now if we zoom in here, let's take a look and see what we've got. All right, so I'm here. I see my path data for just this segment, and I notice, okay, there's the path that I want to move. So I've got a variety of different points here. I'm actually going to move back so I can see all of those points. And what I'm going to do is just in one fell swoop, I'm going to go ahead and select all those, and I'm going to move them over. I kind of want to be a little bit careful there so that you've got things set up the right way. And you know what? Just for good measure, I'm going to come over and make all of these spatial linear points, right? So it's a smooth straight line up. I also notice over here, I've got this guy. I'm going to make him into a linear point, and I'm going to move him back to about that position here. And didn't we say we wanted this guy centered up in this button right here? So let's move him right about there, right? So now let's scrub back and forth, and hopefully, fingers crossed, my cursor movements are going to do this. Okay, so that's pretty good. I'm out of the way of those switches mostly. Let's go in and refine a little bit further, right? So I'm going to go ahead and select, move this over a little bit more. All right, and we're out of the way. And if I want to, I can just get in on individual lines right here, and we could get really OCD about this. We could start moving all of these guys around individually. But you can see for the most part here, I've got this nice movement out of the way, and then I get to the center position of that button. Let's actually move him over a little bit more right there. Yep. There we go. So that's cursor path editing. There's a time and place for it. It's very powerful. It allows you to do things you couldn't do in any other software. With a simple click of the button, get access to those metadata position points, be able to adjust them quickly with multi-select, single point select, change their spatial point type, and you're in and out, right? Now, I'm going to go ahead and choose to finish editing here. If you want to do the big kahuna, as they say, if you want to look at what this looks like, if you take a look at all of the data that we have there. So we're going to go ahead and choose edit cursor path. We'll do RDP. Again, it's not a granular selection. Click continue. Again, we've thrown away some of the points that we captured just to make it simpler, but you can see there's a ton of points down here on the timeline on this piece of media, and it just starts to get to be a lot to handle right now. I will point out, we try to help you a little bit if you get into this problem. We're only going to show you a few of the points at any given time based on where your cursor is at. And so that can simplify some of the noise. Otherwise, you just get a mess of paths all over the place on the canvas here. So there's a lot of thinking in here, a lot of ways to try and make this easier for you, but it's a surgical procedure. Jump into it, jump out of it. There's so much more we could go into with cursor path editing. It's a very rich set of features, path manipulation, all kinds of different operations and control, but that's the gist of it. It's pretty dang cool and done only here at TechSmith. Right, this is going to be super awesome and super fast. We're going to take a simple, humble screenshot right here, and we're going to make some magic. We're going to go win the first 5 seconds of our viewers' attention. That's something we got to help our customers do more of, right? So I've got the screenshot. First of all, let's just dress it up. Let's bring the production values up. So I got a piece of stock footage I've already found. I'm going to drag this guy down on top of here. We're going to move down the timeline, lop him off. It's just some atmospherics that's covering everything up. We're going to go ahead and grab a blend mode here, and there's the blend mode. We'll drop it on. That's the screen mode. Looks pretty good, but you know what? I think overlay looks pretty tight. I like that a lot. Another thing I like to do is, I've really been jamming on color LUTs lately, and I'm going to drag a LUT onto that screenshot. And I kind of really like this McKinnon 75 one that I've got somewhere in my library here. Let's go find it. McKinnon 75. There she is. Okay, so beautiful. All right, that's got the look I want. If I wanted to, again, I could tone things down. I could drag the intensity in, but we're good here. All right, so add a cursor path. All right, this is a brand new visual effect. It can be added to any piece of media that doesn't already have a cursor path on it. So I've got it in my favorites bin. I'm just going to drag that onto my screenshot right down here. And you can see right away, I get a path laid out on top of that screenshot. And I see a motion segment down here in the corner. Now, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to come over here and I'm, of course, going to bump up that vector cursor. Yeah, that looks pretty hot. Okay, let's take a look at that motion there. It's coming from the top to the bottom. All right, let's adjust our start and end points on this. So I'm going to double click to navigate over to that first endpoint. I could have just clicked it on the canvas, I guess. Let's drag it off the screen. So we're starting off the screen. Over here, and we're going to move this off. We're going to crank this up a bit, and I kind of want it coming from bottom up. We want a little bit of swoop and curvature, and I want to land right on this record button right here, right? So I'm really guiding people in. So got some nice, cool movement here. All right, maybe not so on the bottom here. This is just too fun to play with this stuff. All right, so we're going to move off of this and just check out our animation for now. All right, so boom. All right, you see that guy flying in? Bam. All right, so cursor's in. Now, I can mess around with things like easing and stuff like that. So if I wanted to, we already apply it by default. It's got an ease out, so it's going to slowly start moving from the beginning. And then on this last I'm gonna bet it hasn't eased in. Yep, that's already perfect. So I don't even have to do anything. So just like that, I've already got this nice little animation. Now, you know what would make it better? Well, if we went into one of the libraries of animations I've been building for Camtasia for people, but I've already got a couple of these selected. First off, I'm going to come to rest about right here. I want to pause there for a couple of seconds. And then what I want to do is I'm going to use a little collapse effect here to draw people's eyes in. I'm going to jump forward. Let's see. 1, 1, 2. All right. So here we are. I've got these two guys out here, and they're not exactly where I want. One of them's a collapse. One of them's a burst. That right in on the nose of that guy right there, and we're going to get that collapse, and that burst is going to happen right as that collapse finalizes. Boom. And you know what would make this even better? Just to finish this off, quick little animation. Let's just wave goodbye to people, right? So we drag this out on the timeline. I'm going to go to my favorites. We're going to go grab that fade effect. We're going to drop that guy on there and deselect so we get a clean timeline. Let's take a look at this at 100% and move back to the beginning and watch. All right, there she is. Some animation. Boom. And oops, I stopped it. And then a wave. Yeah. And just like that, I've got myself a pretty nice little video, right?